I decided to come out and do some of my creative work at a nearby hotel that had a cafe slash bar, which tend to be the same in Europe. You know, you can get alcohol and coffee in the same bar. And so I walked over about 20 minutes, I think it is, from where I'm staying. And it was by the 1866 square in Chania, Crete. Chania, as you say it in Greek. Here where I'm staying, and but it was the perfect spot because I could see the Christmas lights and I could see all the people crossing the streets and coming back and forth from their shopping and their Christmas shopping. And since I'm not participating in that while I'm here, of course, because I'm solo traveling, I decided to just spend it in this cafe bar, and it was so perfect. I had a glass of wine. Well, I had two glasses of wine, and I got some work done, some very important work done, and just watching the passerbys. But the cutest moment was when a group of young girls, very, very cute, very beautiful young girls, came inside the hotel and they just stepped in and they're talking. And then one of them says, "Wow," when they see the lobby, you know. And then I turned around because they were behind me. I was on the couch and I smiled at the one that I could see out of the group, and she smiled back. So then when she said, "Wow," I looked at her smile. The other girls who I don't think could see me, they started giggling. They were giggling at them just coming in to check out the spot. It was the cutest thing ever. Like they were just young girls and just like came in and like, wow, like, you know, this is fancy. And it just reminded me of my younger self when I was that age and just looking at things like that. And I just remember thinking like, I want to be here. I want to, like, I would walk in, if I would have done that, if I would have walked into a place like that, like really fancy, I would have been like, I want to spend time in places like this, which is what I did when I was young. And so fast forward to me at 48 years old, being a digital nomad traveling the world, and I get to spend time in some of the most beautiful places and I get to see some of the most beautiful sights. And it was just like the universe was reminding me, like, you dreamt of this and now you're doing it. And the funny thing is, the project that I'm working on is actually looking at time as spiral and not linear, and how the past connects to the present, and how they're in the same location geographically. They're not really long distance from each other, the past and the present and the future, but they're close to each other geographically. And so that was really interesting that I had that moment right then when I was putting together when I was like reading through my content about this. And now, as I'm recording it, it's when I'm realizing that, just making the connection between, I made the connection right away of the young girl and the older woman sitting, myself, the older woman sitting in the lobby, having a glass of wine and working on my laptop with the view of the square. But I just, as I'm recording this, is when I'm making the connection of what I was actually reading, which is about time. And I was reading a lot of quantum physics, which I read a lot of because it's what science calls really spirituality. So I read a lot of things about spirituality and practice a lot of it. And quantum physics is the study of that. I recently saw a post in Instagram, I think I reposted it, that said quantum physics is where they hide spirituality. So that was really interesting. Now that I think about it, it's even more interesting that they came in and did that. And it was like my past self came in into that space and was reacting to my current life that way. Oh my God, that's so profound. I'm so glad I shared. Oh, and even cuter was the fact that when they walked out giggling and they stood in the corner ready to cross the street, the one that saw me smile at her, she was talking to the other girls and then turned around and looked at me through the glass. And then the other girls turned and looked at me. So I knew that she was telling them about me, how I looked at her and smiled. And then she waved at me, and then I just waved at all of them, and they just like smiled and turned around and crossed the street. Like, what a moment. Just realizing how significant that was. Someone might experience a moment like that and not think anything of it, just not even think twice. They just go back to what they were doing. But I'm realizing as I'm talking about it now, I'm studying quantum physics, like I said, and time, the passing of time, not being linear, and how one moment exists simultaneously as the other. Your present exists at the same time as your past and your future. So what what better confirmation than to see a young person do something that I definitely did as a young person? Come into that space, that moment in time when I'm older, and looking at everything I've accomplished, and then seeing somebody who's wishing for that. Like, how powerful is that? It makes me emotional.